Beneath 200 miles of open ocean, more than 4,500 people live in a steel city built for war, one that costs $13 billion and stretches longer than the Empire State Building, is tall. Inside, 18,000 meals are served a day, and every sailor's bed is stacked 3 high in a labyrinth few outsiders ever see. But what does it actually take to eat, sleep, and work in the middle of nowhere on the world's most advanced aircraft carrier? And how do 5,000 endure the pressure, isolation, and routine? This is how life unfolds inside a true city at sea. Steel and ambition fused on the banks of the James River, where shipbuilders spent nearly a decade assembling the USS Gerald R. Ford. The result stands as a city adrift, 1,092 feet from bow to stern, longer than the Empire State Building is tall, and weighing in at over 100,000 tons when fully loaded. On board, 4,539 men and women serve, a population greater than many American towns, all living and working in the hardest of the ocean, often more than 200 miles from the nearest shore. The Ford's hull and superstructure bear the weight of 21st century engineering. Massive steel plates, advanced composites, and reinforced decks form a shell that can withstand the relentless assault of wind, waves, and the wear of round-the-clock operations. The ship's cost, $13 billion, reflects not just the price of raw materials, but the investment in cutting-edge systems, safety, and the promise of endurance in unforgiving conditions. Every inch of the Ford is designed for both strength and adaptability. Internal compartmentalization allows the ship to absorb damage and keep functioning, while the reimagined flight deck and island structure support new generations of aircraft and technology. Power comes from 2 A-1B nuclear reactors deep below the waterline, providing electricity and propulsion for decades without the need for refueling. These reactors don't just move the ship, they power everything from radar arrays to the lights in every sailor's berth. The Ford is the product of more than 40 years of evolution, since the first Nimitz-class carrier. Each innovation, from electromagnetic catapults to advanced radar, was built to serve a single purpose: to keep this floating city alive and ready, no matter how far from land it sails. In this self-contained world, the line between machine and habitat disappears, and survival depends on both steel and the people who call it home. Beneath the armored flight deck, the rhythm of daily life is measured in meals and moments of rest. Every day, the ship's galleys produce nearly 18,000 meals: breakfast, lunch, dinner, and midnight rations, each one planned weeks in advance and prepared with the urgency of a city on the move. The work begins long before dawn. Navy culinary specialists, trained at professional academies and seasoned by competition, move in teams through the galley's heat and noise. They work with supplies hauled up from storerooms deep below: frozen meat, crates of produce, sacks of flour, each ingredient counted and logged by supply officers using digital inventory systems designed for precision. On most days, the menu follows a cycle: eggs and bacon, pasta, casseroles, or the much-anticipated Taco Tuesday. The galley's ovens bake hundreds of loaves of bread, filling the mess deck with the scent of home. For many, these meals are more than fuel. They're a ritual, a brief pause that draws the crew together. One culinary specialist, originally from Milwaukee, recalls the challenge of making comfort food for thousands under pressure. Feeding this many people is both science and art, she says, moving quickly between steaming kettles and trays of grilled chicken. After the meal, sailors return to their berthing spaces, rows of metal racks stacked 3 high, each no bigger than a coffin. Privacy comes from a curtain and a few square feet of storage. A junior sailor from Racine describes taping family photos above his pillow, headphones in, curtain drawn tight against the chatter outside. Officers, too, live in close quarters, sharing staterooms smaller than a college dorm. Even the captain's cabin, just steps from the bridge, is built for function, not comfort. In this steel maze, personal space is hard-won. Sailors carve out small refuges with keepsakes, handwritten notes, or late-night conversations whispered in the dark. The rituals of eating and sleeping become anchors, reminders of individuality and connection, even as the ship sails farther from shore. Jets worth $70 million each thunder down the flight deck, their engines shaking the steel beneath every step. On this strip of non-stop motion, danger is everywhere, and every second counts. Dozens of aircraft launch and recover in a tightly choreographed dance, guided by color-coded teams whose jerseys speak a silent language. Yellow for aircraft directors, green for catapult crews, red for ordnance, and purple for the fuelers known as grapes. Each color marks a different responsibility. Each movement is a practiced response to risk. A single lapse can send shockwaves across the deck. One loose chain, one missed signal, and lives can change in an instant. Beneath this organized chaos, the ship's true strength hums quietly in the depths. 2 A-1B nuclear reactors, hidden far below the waterline, generate enough power for a city of 100,000. Their output is relentless, lighting the flight deck, driving radar, launching jets, and keeping every system alive. These reactors can run for more than 20 years without refueling, giving the Ford unmatched endurance. Reactor engineers work in a world of strict protocols and constant vigilance. One machinist, originally from DePere, Wisconsin, describes the routine. Every reading matters. We check, double-check, and then check again. You're always aware you're standing next to a power source that never sleeps. That same energy turns salt water into life. Advanced desalination plants produce up to 400,000 gallons of fresh water every day, enough for drinking, cooking, and cleaning. Waste is handled with equal care. Organic material is compacted or incinerated, plastics and metals are sorted for recycling, and nothing is released into the ocean untreated. Environmental engineers monitor every output, driven by both regulation and a shared ethic. The ocean sustains the ship, and the ship must protect the ocean in return. In the heart of the USS Gerald R. Ford, a hospital hums with quiet purpose. Its corridors hold operating rooms, a dental suite, an X-ray lab, and even an intensive care unit, an entire medical center afloat. Emergencies don't wait for shore. When a sailor doubled over with sudden pain, a medical officer led the team through an emergency appendectomy, guided by nothing but training, experience, and the steady thrum of the ship. The crew watched and waited. When the patient walked out of recovery, applause echoed through the mess decks. For the medical staff, the job means more than treating wounds or fighting fevers. It's about keeping 4,500 people healthy and ready, no matter how far from home. Care goes beyond the hospital walls. Chaplains hold services for every faith. The gym is packed at all hours, lifting, running, spinning out stress. Satellite links beam messages and video calls back to families, shrinking the distance between the middle of the ocean and a living room in Wisconsin or Texas. On rare afternoons, steel beach picnics bring the crew to the flight deck for laughter, music, and the taste of grilled burgers under open sky. These moments of connection, large and small, are as vital as any system on board. Discipline and routine shape every day. Fire drills, damage control exercises, and general quarters keep the crew sharp. Movie nights, talent shows, and holiday meals offer comfort and distraction. Sailors come from every state, drawn together by duty and the shared challenge of life at sea. For some, it's a first adventure. For others, a career spent crossing oceans. In every corner of the ship, traditions are passed down, stories are told, and newcomers are welcomed into a floating community. The USS Gerald R. Ford is one of 11 nuclear-powered carriers in the U.S. fleet. Each one is a sovereign base, a symbol, and a promise. The Ford's electromagnetic catapults and next-generation radar point toward the future, but its true strength lies in the resilience of its crew. Here, care, community, and legacy are built into every day, proof that even in the most advanced city at sea, it's people who keep the ship alive. Aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford, more than 4,500 people live and work together, isolated by over 200 miles of ocean, and supported by technology that took nearly a decade to build. Every day, 18,000 meals are prepared, 400,000 gallons of water are produced, and nuclear reactors power everything from radar to life support. The ship's systems, from waste treatment to flight deck operations, reflect decades of engineering and thousands of hours of training. Yet, not all details are public. Specifics about security protocols, some reactor operations, and the full scope of classified missions remain undisclosed. What is clear, documented by Navy records and daily routines, is that the Ford stands as both a symbol of American capability and a community forged in steel and discipline. Today, the U.S. operates 11 such carriers, each projecting presence and humanitarian reach worldwide. The legacy of these ships, and the people aboard, continues to shape the future of naval operations.